How's it going, Laser Bruises? Up, I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Head as Code. We have finished up our first station puzzle thingy-jiggy. I mean, I guess it's not really a puzzle, but you know, it's like a escape room thing with Marco. We're heading on the train to get the F out of here and move on to the next station, presumably, but I guess we'll see what happens. The train arrived just as I guessed, and we boarded it momentarily. As we stepped in, I caught myself wondering exactly what the purpose behind this was. That is something we don't know anything about, or about Smiley in general. We don't know why we're here. We don't know what our connections to each other are, apart from the fact that we know two of the people here. The train took off again in silence. We can't really have annoyed anyone at the age of 24, and all we've done is fucking go to university. How much damage could you have done at that time? The train took off again in silence. The announcer once again gave us our destination, but I barely listened to it. Instead, I was thinking about how silly this entire thing really was. Why did Smiley even make us do this? Why lock the doors? What exactly did we do here? We certainly hadn't accomplished a great thing. All we did was make a tablet boot up. Then we were fed the answer. Finally, we arrived at the station. The old man and the strange girl had disembarked at it. Oh, that's surprising. They're waiting for the same train. Huh? Oh, look at that. A and E entered the train, with the old man carefully leading the girl by the hand. He gave us a smile when he entered, patiently waiting until the girl was inside too, before speaking to us. How serendipitous! We're taking the same train to get back to the first station. Have you two managed to find anything special? No, not really. Sandwiches are kind of special, but nothing else out of the ordinary. I agree, sandwiches are special. We did find the exit. Well, I found it. E was unfortunate to say, not too useful for this sort of thing. Seems a bit fucking cruel to put a blind deaf girl through all this, don't you think? Right, we also found one. Did yours have scanners? Scanners? Ah, the bluish light. Yes, it did have that too. I thought it more prudent not to take chances with it for now. Besides, we can always return to these stations. I remained quiet, content with following the movement of the train as it went toward the midpoint station. I was wondering about what we'd find up there once we got the doors unlocked. We found a library, but what did the others find? What was the old man's room? I was about to ask them, but the train stopped. Then I figured perhaps it would be better if we all shared this information when we all returned, avoiding unnecessary repetition. Alright, let's go. Old man A and girl E already left the place. When Marco called me over, I realised that was the case. If we didn't head out promptly, the train would leave without us. Quickly, we stepped outside. I hope they all decided to come back here. A approached us while I pondered on everyone else's motives. The train drove off and he made me an offer. In the meantime, I believe E would like to communicate with more of you. However, due to her state, it's quite a one-sided conversation. As a result, I proposed to her that I teach someone else how. Would you like to do it? Oh, sure. But aren't the gestures you both share kind of complicated? No, this wasn't the coward in me rearing its head again. I just didn't want to accidentally insult E by mistake. Or just fail to formulate basic sentences to begin with. Still sounds cowardly. In the face of my question, A simply guffawed. Ah, that part's not on the menu, my boy. Why, it would take me weeks to even scratch the surface of such complicated touch language. No, I have something much simpler. From his bag, he produced a pen. This braille pen can condense the matter with the air into a solid form. It's a little like deposition, the process of turning something from a gaseous state to a solid one. In reality, it's a little more like a miniature 3D printer. This one is for the letter A. They only work on perfectly uniform surfaces, such as these. He produced a few thin strips of paper too, which I was made to take. Then he followed by taking another 25 total pens, holding them with both his hands. That's high technology. Are you sure you're fine giving this to me? It's only temporary until we make our way out of here, so of course. E can read Braille, and these will print out the sequence of pins that would let her read it. They're still working on getting them into a single pen, but can you imagine a pen with a setting for 26 different letters? It would be difficult. And also, I used to have the punctuation pens, but I don't know where those have gone. I pondered if this man wasn't a little senile. It's all well and good, but I can't carry this. I don't have the means to do so, you know? I mean, he was carrying it. I illustrated by pointing at his hands, which were struggling to carry them all. He answered by dropping them all into my arms, which I had to cross in order to carry them. Hey! Give me a moment, I'll solve that dilemma. From his bag he produced yet another object. A bag like his, but smaller. Here, put them inside this. He opened it at me and I dropped a lot of pens inside. Carefully, I also inserted the sheets of paper I'd been carrying alongside them. This bag will hopefully not be too cumbersome. It's nice to be lighter too. I have quite the many things inside of mine. That reminds me, Smiley took all our stuff, but they didn't take away your bag. It's been something I contemplated upon too. And perhaps Smiley wanted to make sure I'd be as useful as I desire. Hey, you two. Come over here and check this out. Marco called from the consoles next to the door. He was examining them closely. We approached, and he pointed with his thumb at the second one, which showed a bunch of asterisks. There are 4 keypads on the wall, and we're 4 groups. So I thought maybe I'd enter the password we had at our station, and lo and behold, the console's broken now. Wait, did you break it? No, I just can't do anything else with it. I can't erase or enter anything. Perhaps it's recognized your input. Have you tried putting it in the other consoles too? Yeah, I did. All of them allowed me to erase or enter more stuff except for this one. It seems it has recognized your input then. Let me try to put in the code we had for our station in the first one. As the old man was doing it, I observed carefully. Indeed, much like what happened with Tamako, his console stopped responding once the code was put in. Perfect. Now to wait for the other teams. We're making progress, my boys. Almost as if fate had been waiting for us to enter the codes, the train arrived. I turned around to look at the station, wondering who would come out next. Hopefully it's Jasmine. The one who left was Ray. As usual, his attitude was foul. Jasmine followed after. I waited for the twins to leave, but they didn't step outside, and the train drove off. Oh, you're all fine. I'm glad. We're still missing some people, huh? The twins weren't with you? Negative. They must be having some difficulties with their puzzle room. Ours wasn't too terrible, but we found some stuff. What kind of stuff? I wasn't the only one whose interest was piqued. The old man and Marco also listened. Jasmine motioned for Ray to join us, as the angry man was already settling in by his lonesome again. You want me to show them that? Yes. I think it's fairly important. It's not like I really care to help anybody. On the other hand, the sooner we catch that fucker, the better it is, so whatever. Here. He took out a piece of paper from his pocket. It looked rather mistreated. The man's burly hands certainly didn't play nice as he unfolded it. Considering the fact that none of our rooms contained anything like this, I was rather curious. This thing says one of you isn't like the others. And then there's this stupid part full of grammar errors. None smiley within my mask. Within? Look how smiley is spelt with 2 I's and within is spelt with an E at the end. That's kind of stupid. Smiley can't even fucking write. What an idiot. I don't know. Isn't it suspicious how there are additional letters? Suspicious like what? Wait. Suddenly the man had an idea. I could tell with the way his eyebrows were furrowing. It wasn't just anger. This was advanced anger. Oh, I fucking get it. I get it now, Smiley. You little accomplice. Did you think I wouldn't notice? You didn't, in fact, notice. Shut up. Someone who isn't like the others? That's a traitor? Someone among us is in league with that Smiley? We've got an I and an E. Doesn't that mean it's I-E? As in me, E? Blind girl's in on it. Actually, I can corroborate the fact that she has no involvement in this. Yeah, you can't know that. I bet she can hear and see us too. She's just playing us for fools. He walked towards her. Barring his path was A, who was adamant about his situation. No, she's also legitimately blind and deaf. This isn't going anywhere. Stop this madness at once. Step out of my way, old man. You're as easy to swat as a fly. Yet A did nothing of the sort. He remained there like a wall. An old, easily pushed wall, but a wall nonetheless. I watched on the sidelines. The situation had quickly escalated into a fight, but I couldn't do anything. Jasmine was looking disapprovingly at everyone, and Marco was also looking as though he didn't want to get involved, averting his eyes. Unsurprisingly, E didn't move. I assumed she still had no idea what was happening. Since A stood up to Ray, and he was an old man, I felt as though... well, fuck, I felt terrible. I was a boy who was still young, healthy, and not too bad, physically speaking. I moved forward as if to join A in his struggle, but Ray abandoned his pursuit. In the end, my intervention wasn't even necessary. The old man's got more balls than we do. What a relief. The reason why Ray abandoned his battle soon became apparent. The train arrived at the station. The twins stepped outside. Perhaps the man hadn't wanted to cause violence in front of children, but that most likely was giving him too much credit. He was already drinking from his flask again, back to his isolation. That was probably alcohol. Well, he's an angry drunk. Did something happen? The first twin to disembark looked at us all in turn, having figured that an event or other had just taken place. We explained things to her, with the other joining her momentarily. I don't know, we all seem to be stuck together. Are you sure that's what the note means? The twin was explaining her reasoning to us once we talked about the strange paper. Life's full of traitors, so I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes they're really close to you. But it doesn't specifically say it, right? It says, not like the others. What is the link between all of us and that the eighth wouldn't share? Well, that's hard to tell. Everything will be fine anyway. That note was probably just put here to sow generalized madness among us. Ah yes, everything will be fine. I'm sure we'll get out of here promptly and safely. It's not like we have a collar of death attached to our necks or anything. Yes, but, well... Jasmine decided to shut up past that. Before this devolves into a fight again, we should get a move on. This door is closed though. Jay, I'm gonna need your help, and yours too, G, correct? Correct. What will we do? We already entered our codes in the first and second consoles on the wall. They start responding while the others still work, so we're thinking if we enter all four of them, the door will come open, I see. Let's give it a shot. I waited while Jasmine entered the one her team found, and G entered the one the twins received from the room. In the meantime, I had the option of talking to some other people. Interesting, who are we going to talk to? I don't want to talk to Ray because he's an asshole. I'm going to stick with the old man, he seems pretty good. He seems pretty cool. I came upon A while he was looking into his bag. Hey A, I was wondering if... Please be quiet, I need to find this thing. It'll only take a moment. I saw him frown. It felt unusual to see him in such a state of hurry. What was he looking for exactly anyway? His bag was pretty big, so it had to contain a lot of things. I caught myself thinking it was strange that Smiley left him with all this, while he took everything we had. Was our stuff in this bag? No, there's no way. Eventually he stopped searching. I can't believe I lost it. Why is it missing? You mean something you had isn't there anymore? It is unfortunately correct. You wouldn't happen to have seen a little rectangular gadget that can open, and within it is a screen and a keyboard, would you? That's a PDA, right? No, I haven't seen that. Ah, I guess I should have been more careful. It's 2022 and you got a PDA? Jesus Christ, you're 20 years in the past, my man. I can't believe I lost it. Maybe Smiley took it. He snapped his fingers at my suggestion. That's true. So unfortunate. I don't have one of those newfangled phones, so I make with what I know. Speaking of, do you have a phone? No, Smiley took it from me. Ah, then that makes sense. Thank you, young man. Let us be on our way now. They've unlocked the door. We both went back to the group. Together we all stepped into the little lobby beyond the station. Stop pushing. There's hardly any space here for all of us. Stay calm, okay? If we fall down the stairs, it won't be funny either, so go through one by one and stop trying to go first. I'll do what I fucking want. Here comes the asshole again. Watch out, sis. After a brief moment of cacophony, we all came up the stairs and entered a peculiar room. Much like the one I investigated, this one did not seem to be a station, but some kind of lounge or a bar. This is the room from our dream. There was a counter on the one side, with a few stools in front. On this side were some couches, a table, and various other things. Doesn't this look like a lounge to you? Isn't this supposed to be part of the train station? This is very different, but the station we investigated didn't look like a station at all either. It was some bedroom. The others chimed in. Ours was totally different than the usual station too. It was a room with planets and astrology stuff. Wait, was it astronomy or astrology? Funny enough, our own looked like a library. We had to solve some puzzle and there was some stuff hidden around. In the final safe was also a pair of sandwiches. Ours had food too, which is pretty strange. Why would they do that? Ours had food as well, but it was a little different and not hidden like yours. It was more like storage for food, a pantry. That's the word. I suppose we could use it to dine if the food was even edible anymore. How did the stations change that much? Asking that question is pertinent indeed, but we should give this room a good search too. Let's meet up back once we've done so. With 8 of us here, it should take no time at all. I decided to take this side with Marco, Jasmine and A. On the other side, the twins were examining the bar along with Ray, with E just standing around. The man was getting angry at the girls because they weren't allowed around alcoholic drinks. Well, no time like the present. It's time to search this. Weird looking thing on the wall. The strange machine was too high for me to reach it. It's kind of like an air conditioner, except if it came out of a space station. It felt oddly out of place among the rest of this somewhat rich looking assortment of furniture. It seems like a time travel device. Don't be silly, young man. Time travel doesn't exist. Maybe not yet, but one day. Probably not. The intricacies are, as far as I'm aware, a little too steep for us to access it. To begin with, time travel would require the involvement of a gravitational force. What are you two talking about? Oh, A was being a little senile, don't mind him. I am not senile. That was brutal. I gotta give you props, it seems like it's actually an air conditioning device. No time travel here. A threw his hands in the air while moving away, exasperated while murmuring, young ones these days, or something like that. That still comes up though. I tried turning it on, but I didn't even know what to press. Jasmine was taller, so she helped flick some switches. The machine didn't turn on though. Looks like it's not working. Maybe it's not powered on. Or is it even plugged in? Sounds to me like the AC needs some DC to work. Hello, M Spirit? Please leave this body immediately. I heard my Nikki name. Did I miss something? I dismissively waved him to dodge his next jokes by moving on from the air conditioner. I approached the side of the table. The gems embedded in its legs drew me in. I touched them. They felt real. This looks really rich. Did Smiley have all these antiques, or are they replicated objects? Just because they look old doesn't mean they're old. I think they're not real antiques, and even if you touch the gems and they feel real, they're probably not actual rubies. How can you feel a real ruby? How does a real ruby feel different to a fake one? Do you even understand how expensive this would be? Not only you'd need money, but you'd also need to be stupid to leave it in the care of 8 strangers who might just break it all. Or maybe Smiley didn't care. Yeah, that's what I said. If they were stupid. That's the only way someone wouldn't care. When I arrived at the couch, Marco was standing up on it. What are you doing exactly? You're gonna leave your dirty footprints all over the couch. I'm testing its comfort level. What, for your feet? By standing on it? What else? My full weight is on it. If it can't retain its shape even after that, then it's garbo. He leapt off it and turned around to see the results. The couch retained its shape regardless of Marco's weight, and it wasn't even marked by his shoes either. That's a good couch. So you figured you'd be the one looking for a comfy couch. Are we going to take this one with us? Once we leave, we should take all the furniture with us. I assumed it wouldn't be a big deal if I went ahead and sat on the couch a little. Huh, Marco was right. The couch was really comfortable. It might have been comfortable enough to take a nap on it, which is extremely rare for me to consider. If you sleep there, I can't guarantee your safety. Huh? The others may choose to leave you behind if you do so. That's all I meant to say. He was right. I stood back up and chose to forget about the couch entirely. I felt a sense of dread when I looked at the portrait. It was foreboding in a way. I couldn't describe it. Deja vu? What are you talking about? Oh, I had deja vu while looking at this portrait. What do you feel when you look at it? You know, for a place supposed to be for comfort, it's kind of giving me the creeps. It's just a lounging area, there's no reason to be afraid. The twin had crossed over to our side momentarily. Yeah, but that framed sentence there is chilly and feels really out of place and foreboding. Yes is right, it's totally off. They're just words anyway. Are you really going to turn tail like that? Words can't hurt you. No, it's just... I don't know. Words can hurt. You'll understand when you're older. I am older. I'm older than I was 10 seconds ago, in fact. That's technically correct, but I had other things to look at, so I left them alone. Yeah, you keep fucking arguing about that. I'm done. This is empty. It looks like it has water, but it's empty because those damn plastic containers play tricks on your eyes. No use getting angry over it. I could have gone for a drink, but I guess it'll have to wait. I'd have a better chance with the bar on the other side. Once A moved away, following his advice, Marco leaned towards me a little. Yeah, the bar's nice, but I don't trust drinks. Water, that's fine, but drinks? What if I drank something with even a bit of coconut in it? I'd die. Right, your allergies. Then again, who knows? Maybe I'm being too paranoid about that kind of thing. The chances of there being a drink with coconut here are pretty slim, I agree. But you should lay back a bit and not worry over it. To the bar then. I had other things to look at first. What a lovely sconce. It was just a wall lamp, nothing special. A few others were scattered around. I didn't see any switches to turn them off. Interesting. I know these lamps. They're powered by yttrium batteries. I suppose the more common term would be LYP batteries. Ah, very interesting. I'll go look over there now. Leave me alone. Cool plants. They were pretty generic, even if they complemented the place well. I was about to leave the room when A held my shoulder to stop me. Wait, young man. Before we go, we might be better off discussing our findings and strategizing accordingly for our next move. Did we find anything special or something? Not much, I'm afraid. Doesn't seem as though this room has a way out like the stations we explored. Maybe this is set up here so we can come back here every time. Do you think so? I thought this place was a little homely. We should consider this our base of operations for whenever we've solved an escape room. That seems like a good idea. Let's make our way back here to report our findings every time we get out of the station then. Ray grumbled something. He didn't seem in agreement, but instead of replying to their words, he simply drank from his flask once again. That reminded me. There was a bar counter here. I'm awfully thirsty. Let's go for a drink. Just what I was thinking. Nothing in here has a price tag, so I guess it's free. Are you two willing to get drunk now? That's so irresponsible. I can't believe you're both like that. We should just rest before heading out. We all need our focus. Hey, not really getting drunk, but you know, having a sip. Just a sip. Do not worry, Jay. I'll make sure any drink I prepare will not be cause for concern. And who named you the resident barkeep? Oh, but young man, I happen to be a bit of a barista. I've prepared drinks before, mixtures of all kinds even. I even know my way around these products. Well, that's probably the most help we can get in making good drinks around here, other than... I glanced over at Ray. He didn't catch me, since he was already sitting on a stool, taking sips from his flask. Was that thing bottomless or something? Bottomless mimosas. Someone who drinks doesn't necessarily do a good job at mixing those drinks. I understand your reticence, but as soon as you have a taste of the drinks I make, I'm sure you'll be fine with it. Everyone split up from their respective groups and sat somewhere. Jasmine and G took place on the couches while E remained on the sidelines. A stepped behind the counter while Marco, H and I went to the stills. Hard one on the rocks, my good sir. Oh, like I said, no alcohol here. Otherwise, I won't be able to have this little lady here too. I want to take a look at what you're doing there. She leaned her head over the counter, frowning as she watched what he was doing. After a moment, she sat back down, looking slightly dazed. You guys know about the explosion? Which one? The one from 2 years ago in Beirut. No, the one from a month ago or so. It happened in New York, I think. She was frowning, as if having issues thinking about it. It just came up in my head right now for some reason. It was on the news pretty much worldwide. The entire subway in New York exploded. Oh yeah, that thing. That was a real atrocity, wasn't it? Though I believe you have an element wrong in your description. Only one station exploded, if I remember correctly. Huh? But... Weird, I remember that differently. That was done by terrorists. If you get scared, they're gonna win. So don't let it get to your head. Well, some people apparently died, so it's not hard to let them win when you're dead. Besides, I'm pretty sure that was just a cover-up for an internal incident. You know how big companies are. They can't afford to show that kind of weakness, so they pin it on terrorism. Ray chose to remain silent and continue sipping from his drink. Ours arrived a moment later. Marco was looking at his own contemplatively, as if he wasn't certain. Please, do have a taste and let me know what you think afterwards. I decided to throw caution to the wind and have a good sip. As soon as I drank it, my eyes lit up with newfound vigor. He wasn't lying when he said it was good. Oh, it tastes like lime. Just a little, not too much. It's pretty perfect. I told you I was good at this, young man. How did you know that was my favourite taste for a drink? I'm simply good at what I do, nothing else. Grape. While I enjoyed my drink in silence alongside the others, I couldn't help but let what H and Ray said weigh upon my mind. Terrorism. Station exploding. Would the same thing happen here? Would this place explode too? Was I caught in some kind of international terrorism? This brought me back to the note Ray showed us. Someone who didn't belong. Like a terrorist. Like Jasmine said. It was easy to dismiss it as some kind of scare. Perhaps it was what it was, but I couldn't be sure. Did I really think that was the case? Did I think the message was important? Instead of trying to weed out the person who didn't belong, I decided to investigate the possible link everyone here shared. There had to be something linking us together. The reason behind our abduction might become more apparent if I did that. I could already tie Marco to the university I attended before. Jasmine had never gone, but Ray gave me the feeling that he belonged there. I couldn't, in good conscience, disregard the possible lead 3 of us might be sharing. That difficult decision made, I stood up from my seat and approached Marco. Hey, let's go have a chat with the volcano. The volcano? Isn't that dangerous? Only if it explodes on you. Marco quickly understood who I meant. Since he'd been reluctantly looking at his drink, my suggestion went flawlessly. We both left the immediate areas to surround Ray. What do you both want? Mind if we talk a bit? I'm trying to determine exactly what links us all here. You're from the university too, right? As a teacher, I mean. I looked at Marco, surprised. What? I remember him, even if he doesn't remember me. He looks like one of the teachers I've had there. Ray ran a hand through his dual-coloured hair, slightly annoyed. But then again, this is his natural state of affairs, so nothing was too different than usual. Alright, whatever. Not like I got anything else to do here. Let's just walk away from the bar first. He stood up, stretched his legs and arms and took off. We followed him to the couches in the other corner, opposite the ones Jasmine and G were occupying. So what do you want to know? If I'm from the university too? Actually, it's about... Yeah, let's stick with that. To put it simply, I guess I'm just curious about what kind of job you have. My job? Whatever it is, it's not paying me enough, that's all you have to know. That a joke? No. It's legitimately not paying me enough to care, even saying what it is. Or, I guess I have too many expenses and it's not giving me enough to compensate for that. Been doing a second job too, which is eating up all my fucking time. I glanced at the bottle in his shirt pocket. If you bought a lot of alcohol, then it certainly might not be enough. Yeah. I wonder why you can't afford to live. Haven't been able to do it lately though. My money's low again. At least you can tell us if you're from the university. Ray grumbled something at our insistence before he sighed, clearly giving up opposing our question. Yeah, I'm employed by the university, as you are probably students from it then, right? I can tell you both about the age all these fucks graduate. Marco didn't look like he enjoyed being referred to as a fuck. I had to defuse the situation or else it would turn nightmarish. I couldn't really complain in my mediator role, but at least they should have been able to get along for 5 minutes. Okay, there's no point being too rude. We're all trapped here and we all want to make it out, so we just need information. Are we good? I looked at Marco. He stared back at me and closed his eyes, letting his frown dissipate. This also seemed to calm down Ray. The man seemed more reactive than proactive when cornered like this. So what exactly is it you want to know? Why I'm here? I don't have a damn clue myself. I'm stuck here with a bunch of Zoomers and a boomer. I might be from the same university as you both, but I've never seen those schmucks over there. The granddad isn't from the university, or if he is, I have no idea what he'd do there. A director or something? The girl with disabilities, well, sucks for her, but she wouldn't be admitted. We don't have classes for blind and deaf people. That is if she's even both of those, which I don't believe. The teens? They're teens. They don't belong in university. They probably just graduated high school or something. Having fun with their boyfriends and doing fuck all because they're too insecure about their futures. Ray took a sip from his drink, exhaling and calming down again after definitely getting worked up. Something in what he was saying was touching him personally. As for the pink hair, I don't think I've seen her before. No, I think I have. I narrowed my eyes. What would he and Jasmine have in common? Wasn't it the university, before you jumped to conclusions? It was elsewhere. I can't remember exactly. There was a waiting room. I didn't recall before because my memories of that are a little muddy. Because of all the alcohol, right? A waiting room for something, a hospital? Maybe it was just someone else. Whatever, that's all I know. Might give it what you want. I don't think it's going to lead to anything. He gave us a dismissive wave. At least he was polite enough for that. Mark and I had remained quiet during most of his monologue. This information was ultimately somewhat interesting. Still, his hesitation at the end made it sound like he was embarrassed about it. I shrugged at Marco. Maybe he went there for his piles. His serious hemorrhoids. Well, maybe we'll know more later. I think I'm going to group up with Jay so I can ask her about it. Maybe it was crabs. Oh man, you're going to leave me with Ray? Or one of the twins. try to use that to also find out what they're all about, okay? Maybe they have a parent from the university or something? Marco wasn't too enthused by it, but he agreed. At the same moment, a yell caught my attention. It came from H, who had joined Jasmine and G on the couch during our discussion. Watch what you say, because maybe you got a nice life, but not everyone here did. What's going on here? Mind your business, Blandy. I'm gonna give this bitch a piece of my mind. She lunged at Jasmine, but Marco grabbed her to stop her moving. Let me go, nerd lord. I took a glance at Jasmine, who looked completely lost in all of this. Her eyes were wide open in surprise. I didn't even know what any of this is about. All I said was, I hope we get out without any further issues. H was gesticulating wildly, while G was a lot calmer, trying to make sense of the situation as much as we were. After a while, she snapped her fingers, as if she just got an idea. Ah, I know what it is. You don't know anything, sis. In the end, H slammed her foot down on the ground, surprising Marco, who had let her go after a short moment of inattention. This time it was my turn to snag her up so she wouldn't lunge at her. Let me fucking go. What's happening here exactly? What is this cacophony about? A joined us in the commotion. It's okay, I can deal with this. H, please let her go and don't worry. Come over here. She reached for H's arm. I let her go and the moment I did, her legs gave and she fell down to the ground. The girl was trembling all over. I hadn't noticed before, but her voice had been shaking a little sometimes as she spoke. Was this some sort of strange PTSD? I didn't know anything about it, so I couldn't be sure, but... Come over here. It's okay. G repeated herself while helping H over. The two of them sat down on the far end of the other couch, and we moved away to give them some privacy. I pulled Jasmine over by her wrist. We should leave them alone for a bit. That would be for the best. She's just sensitive about some stuff ever since things happened at school. We'll be ready to head back out shortly. Don't give a shit. It's okay, H. There's none of that here. We moved even further away until we could barely hear what they said anymore. Jasmine was looking at me, following absent-mindedly, as if she wasn't there at all. What'd you even say to her? Like I said, something about getting out? I don't know. She must be whack in the head. I scratched the side of my cheek, a little, playing with my sideburn. What a trait to differentiate the twins. After a while, we were all ready to go. The twins calmed down, Jasmine was back at her feet, and the drinks were sadly left alone on the counter. That made me feel truly feel sad, but I couldn't take those on a date. I had to go with Jasmine so I could inquire about the event she might have shared with Ray. So how are the teams going to work? I'm going with Jasmine this time, if I can shotgun that. I'll take the punk. He pointed at Marco. Strange, I thought he might have opposed that idea, but perhaps he didn't want to team up with Jasmine again. But to go to the length where he'd willingly pick Marco. Perhaps something I said shook him to his core. What? Stop looking at me like that. It'll be fine, since you want to go with your girlfriend over there. She's not... Never mind. Jasmine giggled at his ascertainment of the situation. Apparently she found this line very funny. Great. My chances with her are probably at ground zero. Well, that's okay, I guess. He didn't look enthused about it. Our teams ultimately weren't very different than the first round groups. Nothing was in place for us to force us mixing up, so the twins went together again. Do we have our teams? If that's the case, let us go at once. Obviously A would go with E, since, other than me, he was the only one who could communicate with her. I could have simply handled the bag to someone else though. Yeah, but that's a lot more work than his tapping. But I did want to investigate her situation again later. For now, we all walked down the stairs in pairs. Maybe it was just my imagination, but I noticed Jasmine had a bit more pep in her step than earlier. Was she just happy to finally group with me? Maybe I had more of a chance than I imagined before. I too was happy because that was the only person I really figured I could go on a real date with. E was nice, but also difficult to deal with. Marco and the other guys were out of the question since I didn't swing that way. And the twins? That's illegal. Not if they finished high school. That makes them 18, right? Never in a million years. I shook my head to clear up my thoughts. Once again, they were obfuscated by the name of that stupid game. The dating game was named this way because we went in pairs. I understood that. But why name it? Why that name in the first place? It was embarrassing. Come on, you're 24, grow up. It was almost as embarrassing as admitting to Jasmine that I thought of her. All that I thought of her. I glanced at her again. Come to think of it, she was a little different now. Beyond her peppier step. She's a pretty nice person, but in here, she took the lead a lot and was unafraid of confrontation. Those were traits that she did show before, but not to this extent. Either she changed during these years, or Jasmine, being away from me, stopped me from extending my cowardice to her. The train arrived in the middle of the daydream. We all stepped in for a destination unknown. And with that, seems like a perfect time to wrap this one up here. In the next one, I guess we're going to the next escape room thing. And this time we're going to be with Jasmine, so same as we were in the demo. It should be interesting. Till then, if you guys enjoyed it, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.